Okay. Is somebody recording?
Yeah, Daniel Zhang, he's recording.
Okay, dope.
He's recording.
All right, dope. So yeah, we can get started with like an interview kind of thing, and then I'll post. I can post videos on the Instagram, right? I could just post a video of recording on the Instagram.
Or like a YouTube channel.
Okay, I might have a Coursicle YouTube. I'm not sure. I generally like reserved Coursicle on as many platforms as possible, but I assume somebody who jumps on it as a result of like this conversation is probably also going to be somebody who would give it over willingly. So I'm not too worried about not reserving it. I don't have it. Okay, so you go ahead and ask. You asked a great question. I don't remember what the question was.
So it was essentially, how did Coursicle start? What are the early beginnings? You know, I think you went to UNC. You graduated in 2016. You thrust into the industry. You're a really smart guy, and then
well, there's one
instead of
inaccuracy.
going into the industry.
That's one inaccuracy.
What makes you pursue Coursicle, and what makes you pursue Coursicle? But on top of that, what about the funding aspects of it? So from a kind of startup / investor point of view, that's just surviving, hiring, how are you able to, and how did you grow the app? As well, because a lot of people at my university know about it too.
For sure. All right, so basically, I started Coursicle when I was an incoming freshman at UNC. So I was like 18, and I spent like 7 hours planning my class schedule, and then I went to register for my classes, and I got into 1 out of the 5 I needed to take. And that night, I started writing a program that would notify me when a class I wanted had an open seat. And now for the people who use PeopleSoft systems, so like systems similar to UNC, that's like a shopping cart. So basically, you'd have this shopping cart. There's like a couple of main systems, and one of them is a PeopleSoft system. And you'd have a shopping cart, and like I wrote a program that would take a screenshot of my shopping cart and would email it to me every 10 minutes, regardless of whether a class had opened or closed. And I used it to get into my classes, and then I let some friends use it, and they got into their classes. And then we started, one of my friends, Lee, and he suggested, letting other students use it. And originally, like, we had kind of imagined it. It was funny because we started at imagining it was going to be a business, and then it like transitioned to thinking it wasn't going to be a business, and then back to being a business, because we originally like wanted to limit how many people could use it so we could charge for it, using like serial numbers on like computers and stuff like that. We made like a Mac app. And it did horribly. Like, we got like 30 people to use it. There's literally more people in this group chat that we created in like fucking, in 20 minutes than there were using the original version of Coursicle. So that was not a successful initial push. And then the following semester came along, and this was just to notify you when the classes opened up. So I had rewritten it such that it would like notify you when a class you wanted had an open seat, rather than sending you a photo of your shopping cart, which like had a kind of like a pre-thing. I don't like mute notifications so that this isn't like coming through this entire time. No, I can't turn off audio. I can't quit Discord either. Oh, I know what to do. I'll just go here. Notifications for Discord. Sorry to disrupt the flow. Oh, I have notifications off. So then why does it not? Maybe if I allow notifications and turn off the play sound for notifications? All right, whatever. You're just going to have to deal with the fucking things in the background as people talk. So then what I did was my friend Lee and I, we started to open it up to other students. And again, that first instance didn't do very well. And then we switched to this new model, which was just remarkably simple. And it came from a friend of Lee's texting him and being like, I don't have a Mac, because we only supported Macintoshes. And he was like, can you track the classes for me? And this light bulb went off in my head, which I say it's a light bulb, but really it's like a realization of how stupid I've been. And what I realized was that we should just run all of the code on my computer instead of having it distributed across other people's computers, and just like have all the classes in my shopping cart, and then notify students when the class they want has an open seat, from my computer, and then they would just go to a website and actually enter in, what classes they wanted tracked. And after that transition to this new way of doing things, it went crazy. Like we had 900 people the first semester, 1,800 the next semester, and it's been a roller coaster in some ways since that first day, since we actually figured out how to get more students, make it really easy to sign up for Coursicle. Um, and so that was the original, product, was the notification feature, which is still, in a lot of ways, that's what our money maker. That's how we generate revenue, is premium on the Coursicle app, as I'm sure many of you know and have used. Then, like 6 months later, my co-founder Tara, she suggested solving the other part of registration, which was really difficult, which was the plan your class schedule part. And so she and I set out to scrape all of UNC's courses so that we could create our own website, which would allow you to view the courses. And it took months of working on scraping this data from a PDF, which was just really difficult to scrape. Um, but we figured it out, and it resulted in, UNC Class Finder was the name of the website, which basically allowed you to search for classes. And you can look at the Wayback Machine if you want to look at specifics, specifically what it looked like. It hasn't even changed that much to what we have now with the card view, where you've got each class has its own image and that kind of thing. Um, so we did that, and then we used the success of the notification feature to push the scheduling feature, and then eventually, after a couple of years, maybe 2 years, we eventually the success of the scheduling feature was greater than that of the notification feature, and that was really awesome and cool. And then we tried to sell to universities, and that went horribly. The universities just didn't fucking understand what we were doing, why it was valuable, and why it was different than what they had. Like, the reason we would have just sold to universities, and that's how we would have generated revenue, but they didn't get it. We reached out to hundreds of universities, and they were all like, "Oh, our product already does this." Which it obviously doesn't, because the reason why I'm talking to you is because Coursicle, it does something that the university systems does not do. Yes, I did. We did reach out to SCAD. We reached out to like literally every university you could think of. Andy Korn. So I'm just looking at some real time messages in the chat. So then we decided to pivot and just launch directly at the universities, and just market to the students and figure out how to generate revenue later. And that was great. That was like significantly better. We launched at 4 new schools, which two of which were most successful were Notre Dame and App State, which we're still pretty successful at. And then we decided to charge students for a premium, and that ended up going quite well as well. We originally were expecting 3% of students to convert, then 6%, then 10% at highest, but we were converting at like 25% of students by premium, which just all of a sudden made us profitable. And at that point, then then the story of Coursicle is a matter of just scaling, really, for the most part. It's about going from school to school, adding their system, launching at the school, marketing the shit out of it using Reddit for the most part. Sometimes GroupMe, we would actually like join these chats, which I'll send a link to. The hilarious GroupMe conversation is something I've been trying to circulate. I'll add everybody in the general channel with this. Whoops, that's not Greta. I want to add everybody, not just Greta. So you can kind of see like what these GroupMe conversations were like. Sometimes the funniest ones, and I would pretend to be a student, and I would advertise Coursicle, and these were very successful for getting the word out. So basically, it was just scaling, and then I went through a really tough time with my ex-girlfriend, Tara. Like, she was also my co-founder, and we were working on Coursicle together for, in some ways like 9 to 10 years. And then we went through a breakup. There was a separation of the company that needed to be had because she owned 50%. Um, and that was tough, but we made it through, and I realized that the relationship had a lot of aspects that were abusive, which was why I had struggled with anxiety for a couple of years. But overall, like, I'm past that, and just dealing with some mental health related things that are consequences of what happened there, and working on just growing Corsical to be as big as it can be, because she had smaller hopes, I think, in some ways, for Corsical. Like, I wanted it to be very, very big, like Apple level big, where she just kind of wanted to sell the company and make a couple of million, which we had the opportunity to do, but I preferred that we kind of keep things going, and I'm glad we have, and I think that that's basically where somebody asked, where do we see Corsical in 5 years? This is all one giant monologue from the beginning to where we are now. So hopefully this is helpful and educative. But in 5 years, like, I want Coursicle to eventually be a household name on every single campus for everybody to use Coursicle Chat, which will be the next project that we launch. And I think I sent at everyone, or I sent that out, Coursicle Chat, out on Twitter, what I imagine it would look like. So I want everybody to be using Coursicle Chat. We be doing this conversation on Coursicle Chat instead of on Discord, to connect people, to keep it as a safe community, that kind of thing, and then eventually move into, like, artificial intelligence. I think is kind of where I imagine we would move into. I think it's the natural next frontier, for Corsical and for any company, really. It's not something I have much experience in, but and I don't really follow the fanfare around AI, but I had this almost like, you could call it like a fever dream or some shit while I was in the bathtub, and I realized that, like, I need that AI is needs to be done by an American company, and by people with ethics, and because, like, it has a lot of power. Um, and so what I imagine, the first AI would build handles customer support at Coursicle. The second AI would moderate all images and text that go onto Coursicle. And the third would actually answer people's questions. So when people, in a Socratic method, it would teach people. So when you ask a question like, what's the derivative of x squared or something, it would explain Socratically, like, what a derivative is, and those kinds of things, and it would actually teach you, rather than just giving you the step by step. Who teaches the AI, though? How does it know? That's a great question. These are things that I do not know. Um, like, I'm setting the goalpost, like, really, really far, and we'll see if we can get there. And if we can't, then at least we tried, and we're gonna have a lot of fucking fun in the meantime doing it. And one of the main things will be, Coursicle Chat, either way, with or without AI, will hopefully be a hit, and will, replace Discord and GroupMe and all the other systems that students are using. It'll also be something that's outside the purview of a professor. So, like, the professors will not have control over it. It will just be the students, just like what we're doing right now. So you won't have to worry about, getting in trouble for saying the wrong thing or something like that, which I think has a chilling effect for what people talk about. Okay, hopefully that was all recorded, but that's my
Yeah,
pitch.
that's great. That's a really crazy story. Kind of an insight into the uh, time machine of Corsicle, of how um, your partner was your ex was a co-founder of Coursicle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, her name was her name, well, not was. She is still alive. Her name is Tara.
Okay. Damn. Yeah, I'm sorry that all that happened as well, but that's a pretty crazy story. And it's crazy how. So a burning question is that who wanted to buy Coursicle initially?
Yeah. So, Chegg was one of the companies that were,
Oh, I
yeah,
see.
they were
Right.
originally, and I don't think we signed an NDA with them, so I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to talk about this. So Chegg was originally interested in
Right.
buying Coursicle. And then we
Right.
also had the CTO of Reddit who was interested in buying it. I think he had seen. There's a lot of history there, which really speaks to me and is that kind of motivates a lot of what I do. There's this guy, Aaron Swartz, who was one of the co-founders of Reddit, who unfortunately
Yeah.
killed himself after he was pursued by the government for doing something that was
Wasn't wrong.
arguably, yeah, wasn't wrong. Like, he certainly overly pursued, and he was like a an internet freedom fighter. Like, he cared about freedom of speech on the internet, and he cared about keeping the internet like a safe place for just like any kind of action that's not like you're trying to hack a bank and stuff. And he wanted information to be free, and I very much hold those same beliefs. And I think that when he killed himself, I think that his co-founders were obviously like very shook by that, obviously. And I think that the CTO of Reddit saw some of the same kind of ideals in me, and saw some of the same mental health struggles in me. And I think my evaluation is that he was concerned that I would have the same fate that Aaron did, and so he wanted
Hmm.
to give me a way out, because he told me that if I ever want to leave public life, that I should let him know, and he would buy Coursicle, or at least the source code for it, which would I would imagine would be in the tens of millions, or at least 10 million, I would say, because that's what I would imagine Chegg to have bought us for, or more.
I
But
see. Yeah.
that's not something we're interested. That's not something I have any interest in doing. Like, I want to see this through, to a much larger degree than $10 million. Like, my goal is not money. Obviously, hopefully everybody can see that and know that at this point. Like,
Right.
that is not my goal. My goal is to like change the way people think about mental health, about gender equity, about wealth disparity. Like, that's what I care about. and
Hmm.
um, and like that's what I'm going to pursue. Regardless of how many people throw their money at me. Like, that's not my motivation. Bill Gates
Hmm.
could fucking offer me $1 billion today, and I would turn it down, because like that's not what I'm about. Like, I'm not just trying to make money here, and I think that's one of the
Hmm.
things that really makes us different.
Makes sense. That's a pretty good angle to it. Yeah, another question is that what's your current funding like? Are you able to survive? How many employees do you have? Are you able to survive with what you're currently earning? Something like yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we are running on revenue. So we are safe and sound. Like, otherwise, I would be focused and worried about that. This isn't like a cry for help for revenue or anything. Um, we are doing great on revenue. We have two employees right now. Three employees would be, once I hire one more employee, I've already got four people total lined up, like, basically, like, including myself. So the company will be four people by summer, and then we'll be bringing on 2 to 3 interns, um, who a lot of great people, have applied to our internship. So I'll have to go through and look at who applied. But yeah, we're doing fine on revenue.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. Um, have you ever considered going into the industry? You know, the top have other big companies reached out to, you know, like Google, Facebook, or any of these? I mean,
Yeah,
Meta, or yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think we've even been close to on their radar. Like, we've been very, very, like, kind of in the shadows for a long time. Like, college students know about us, but once they leave, they don't really like bring that knowledge with them. They kind of go into industry and they forget about us. Um, so no, I don't think we've ever heard from any of those large companies. I have a intro to the founder of Instagram, though, that I still need to use. Um,
Kevin Systrom.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's him.
That's great.
Um, Yeah, so I've got an intro to him. I think that it would be good to just kind of talk to him. Like my guess is that he regrets selling Instagram, because of like where it could have gone and then maybe even what it's used for. That's my guess, but I want to test that theory by actually talking to him about it. And
Right.
yeah, because it just seems like, I don't know, like who could get behind what Mark Zuckerberg is doing with anything, honestly? Like it's just like I kind of
Right.
like the way he's like democratizing VR more, but like other than that, like everything he does is like bullshit and shitty. Um
That's true.
so like I just can't imagine selling my company to him and watching him like, turn it into
Well,
some
there have
gas
been
station.
reports of there have been reports of Mark, like Kevin Systrom being treated pretty badly
Oh, really?
by Facebook leadership, and he was forced to sell Instagram to him.
Jesus.
And also, there was another thing. There was also another report in one of the testimonies that you know Mark Zuckerberg, by one of the investors, he told Kevin Systrom that if they don't sell Instagram to uh, Mark Zuckerberg will go into destroy mode, and then
Oh my God.
through Facebook camera. So there's this tactic of trying to copy the features of an app that
Yeah.
they're attempting to acquire, because their existing user base can kill companies. Now,
Yeah.
again, Facebook's existing user base can definitely kill small companies like Snapchat, for example. It's gone down, like the story, um, like Instagram stories is has gone up as opposed to Snapchat stories,
Mm-hmm.
at least outside of the United States. The US, like teenagers generally use Snapchat for like all that fishy stuff,
Yeah.
but Instagram stories is what's really taking off due to
Yeah.
their existing user base.
So the natural question that would come from that is, are we concerned that Facebook would try to copy Coursicle Chat? And like the idea is like, for one, we're small enough potatoes that I don't think we need to worry about Facebook copying us. However, once we start to get bigger, like yes, I could see how Facebook would try to copy what we're doing. And we're actually going back to what Facebook started at originally. They originally were colleges only. They were .edu verification,
Hmm.
right? And I think that when they stepped outside of that, they really kind of fucked up. Um,
Right.
so they could try
Correct.
to, but they've already tarnished their brand so fucking much that I don't think that there's really any way that college students would feel comfortable using Facebook over Coursicle, which has a
Right.
very strong brand like that. If in some ways maybe this is why sometimes my brain does things without me even realizing like why I'm doing them, and like this could
Hmm.
be one of them, is to like to make us a differentiator, to give us a like
Right.
trusted brand where like the CEO actually sits down and talks with college students, rather than like is some rich asshole who just like jet skis and picks up his dog
Makes
shit or
sense.
something. Like
Yeah.
like
Totally.
that's the only thing. It's the only thing you see of Mark Zuckerberg is like through the official like lens, and then like like paparazzi
Right.
photos of him. Like that's just like so far removed, and he's just not a cool dude. Like he's not cool. Like
Hmm.
that's people. I would like want some competition in this space. This is kind of like why I like Seatbird, is because like I want us to be like the Apple to their Microsoft, right? Like
Right.
I want that kind of dichotomy, because I think that we can play the cool card, and we can like leverage their marketing efforts against them. Like basically like whenever sometimes when there's competition in a space like this, it actually brings more awareness to the fact that there are these products in the first place. And then you're like, well, this product kind of sucks. Is there a competitor? Ah, Corsicle.
Right.
That's the cool younger
Right.
brother, right? Like that's one of the things I'm trying to like cater.
Hmm.
And I think that if one of these big companies were to try to copy what we were doing, it would make it very easy, because like GroupMe already has kind of done this, where they have these thing called universities, I think. I'm not even
Right.
seeing it right now, but like there's some way you can like verify your .edu email, and then there's also Patio, which somebody tipped me off to the other day. you know, like there are some things that are Coursicle Chat competitors, kind of, but we will take it to a whole new level because we'll have the self-organization of classes. We'll have, like, you know, where we can create a chat room for every class. We'll have
Right.
the you know, the existing student user base, which is already college students. People already use Coursicle at the time of year when they would start chatting anyway. Like, we'll have
Hmm.
a really strong basis, like that will be difficult to compete. Even if Facebook were to get into the market, it would be very
Right.
difficult for them to compete with us because we've got all this course data and all this other stuff. So um,
Right.
hopefully we'll be able to move
Yeah.
fast enough. Yeah, go ahead.
So as for competitors, I think one company that I would be worried about doing that is Chegg, given
Yeah,
that they're $1 billion revenue. So
yeah.
just a little bit of just like a story. So I founded a website called ismyinternshipcanceled.com,
Oh, that
which
sounds
is
familiar.
tracking cancellations of internships during COVID, and that took off. We got 50,000 views,
Nice.
something like that. It was just all organic, just an open thing, and we were talking to companies verifying data. So it was just basically data aggregation.
Yeah, which is
If
basically what we do too. Data aggregation.
right, data is valuable
Oh,
depending
fuck
on
yeah.
what it is. Yeah. But then the thing is, we got reached out by Chegg, that they wanted all of it. And I said no. We
Yeah,
explicitly know that we don't want to give it to you. It's open. We're gonna keep it like that. It's just, but like it's not like it's open. You can peek into it, but you cannot use it. Like you don't. We
yeah,
explicitly stated that in an email that no, we will not allow you to use it.
yeah,
And because we want to help them, not like we want to help the community, not you know make like make them a multi-billion-dollar company that they already
yeah,
are.
exactly. Yeah.
So Chag is a thing that I will be worried about, that they could potentially copy the features of Coursicle directly, given their scale.
Hmm.
Um, so just protecting from them would be an important, um, acquiring the necessary legal methods, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, so with regard to Chegg, we got a taste of what they were like during like the when we were teasing the acquisition process with them, and they are so technically inept, it's like not even close to funny. Like, I'm not at all concerned. Like, they outsource all of their tech to, I think, Israel, which is a fine country for software development, but like the fact that you are an American company, you are a software company. Like, you are fundamentally, they are a software company right now. All of their revenue, basically all the revenue, comes from software, and they are
Right.
outsourcing their development efforts, is just like
Right.
so sad. Like, that is just, we
Right.
can do with 3 people what they could do with 100, and like we can do it better, faster. Like, it's
Right.
just ridiculous, right? Like, there's
It's
Brooks
it.
Law, which is adding more people to a software project just makes it later.
Right.
Like, that's
Right.
that's a common thing that people reference.
Uh-huh.
Like, this is just a typical like small company, nimble, able to get things done versus them. Also,
Mhm.
we have the vision. They have no, they were potentially going to buy us for our scheduling product. And they're like, "Oh, it would
Right.
take us like 5 years to build it." And I'm like, "Oh my God, are you serious? You have all of these resources and it would take you 5 years to build this? Like, that's ridiculous." Like, it is crazy what we can do compared to them. And we've
Right.
already got, we like, Chegg does have, like, they are good. Oh, Annabelle just joined. That's funny. My girlfriend is here. Is she joining the chat? No, maybe not. So we can do what Chegg does, but like, we can, yeah, and they also just don't have morals. They're about money, just making as much money as possible,
Right.
and that's literally what their fiduciary duty is, to do that. They're like, are fiduciary obligated by their shareholders, or by the fact that they're a public company, to make more money for their shareholders,
Right.
and like, they profit off of student cheating basically, and that's not cool.
Right.
Like, the Corsicle is cool, and that's the thing I want to make sure we keep, is that we are cool,
Right.
and we don't, like, sometimes we piss off the universities because we like talk about Zendaya nudes, but like at the end of the day, we are cool, and we are also something that's respected by the university because we actually like don't do anything that's like, you know, borderline unethical. Like we just do ethical stuff, and like, you know, we're
Right.
helping people with course registration. We're gathering, letting people get together to talk about their classes. Like, you know, that's it.
Hmm.
We don't like cheating. We actually will have a very good tactic for preventing student cheating and those kinds of things. So I think
Hmm.
all that stuff together will put us into a much better position than Chegg would. They also don't have the course data. Like they just don't have it. So, you know, they're going to have to gather it if they want to compete with us. And that took
Right.
years of our effort. And like, who knows how long it'll take them.
Makes sense. So, on the speaking on software development side, just to weigh in about the Israel thing, like outsourcing is also part of the money because when it comes to purchase, they're leveraging purchase power parity, like other
Mm,
countries.
mm,
The U.S. dollar is very valuable.
yeah.
So, for example, in India, for example, for $1 you could get an Uber, and for
Wow.
about $70 you could stay in a five-star hotel where
Yeah.
there are people to come to your room and like take care of you. So like they're leveraging purchase power parity in order to minimize development costs, and also you don't have to do employee benefits and all that
Yeah.
other stuff. On top
You
of
don't have
that,
to treat your employees like humans. Like that's basically it's just like
right,
yeah, it's just so fucked up. Like the fact that yes, they get but like the quality of the work that you get, like, you know, is it as
right.
good? Like I don't really know. When you don't treat your employees with respect and like you're treating them like dollars and bills, like, you know, dollars and cents, like don't they treat I feel like they that shows in the software that they create too. They're just trying to clock out at the end of the day. You're just a paycheck to them. Like whereas with Coursicle, like we are so much bigger and so much more than that, and we treat our
Hmm.
employees with respect. I'm actually the least paid employee at Coursicle. I make 60,000. Everyone else makes 65,000, and I want to keep it that way. I want to every time I want to raise my salary, I have to raise
Hmm.
every single person's salary at the company because I want to
Makes
put my
sense.
money. You know, like it just that's like I already get to run the damn show. I shouldn't also get to make the most money, right? Like I don't think that that
Right,
makes sense. Um, and
right.
that is a viewpoint of Coursicle on like the way of running a company. That's one thing I want to embed into people's brains, that this is possible. You can have a successful company that operates this way. And like once we've done that, then like even if we're unsuccessful with Coursicle Chat, even if we're unsuccessful and we get squished in this space by Chegg, or you know, we have to pivot and find something else. I've changed the way people think about how a company is run, and that is winning to me.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love to hear it. Um, and on top of that, so a few questions on how the companies run. Um, how do you facilitate your software development? Because your app is really good. It's written in native,
Yeah.
and you haven't used any cheap tactics, like making a screwed up app like Tesla's app in writing it in React Native, and I think uh, React Native is super messed up,
Mm.
because I have a failed startup um, because of React Native. And not
Yeah.
failed, but I'll just rewrite it in native and it'll be 10 times better. But
Exactly.
um, the main question is, how did you on your own write the iOS and Android app, or is
Great
it just
question.
like a bunch of people in a room? We have some ramen. Let's code it out,
Yeah.
and then let's get things going. So
So
tell us a little bit about that.
yeah, so originally and this is getting, you know, technical for those to listening, but hopefully you still find it interesting. Um, I wrote the original iOS app in native
Okay.
Swift, and
Okay.
Tara, my co-founder Tara, she wrote the Android app in native.
Hmm.
Originally, it was Java, and then one of our interns rewrote it in Kotlin. Um,
Okay.
so we've always had the idea of cutting corners is bad. Like when you're cutting corners, like that's just like not cool. It's not
Hmm.
like the users will feel the effects of you cutting corners. And when you write something that is not in native iOS, like, you know, all of Apple's apps which everyone loves to use. Like people love to use iMessage for a reason. It's written in native. It's fast. It's like familiar. It uses all these like familiar like UIs and that kind of thing. So we just believe that if you cut corners, the users feel it and it ends up hurting you. And you might not see it in like year 1, you might not see it in year 5, but like it will affect them. It will affect the way they feel and they think about your app. And so we've always been a fan of writing something in native for that reason. And like we are very purist in that sense, and I think it's worked to our favor. Like, you know, we're purist about what we for instance, what we like do on the website too. Like we don't use frameworks on the website even. We use native PHP, or it's PHP, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And like we don't, we've had so many people, especially interns, have come in, and they've been like, oh well, why don't we do this in React or whatever? And like, oh, did we lose him? Oh, we lost you for a second.
Like, yeah, I don't know what happened. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So you know, we've had interns come in, and they've like, you know, been like, oh, we should do it this way. Oh, that's my girlfriend. Okay, 1 second. Thank you, Cosmo. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna have to hop off in just a second. I'll let Annabelle say hello. But any final questions before I go? Can you guys make this into like a nice video or audio recording or something that I can post on the Instagram?
For sure.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. So we did not get into YC. We applied and they rejected us. We did get an interview, which I was honestly still proud of that we ever got to the stage. I would say that like the advice I would give to most people, especially anyone in ed tech, depends on what you're. If you need startup capital, then you know, yeah, that's what you need. I would try to go like the accelerator route. That's the easiest route, at least it was when we started. But I would just like, I think there's Y2, there's K-12, there's some accelerator that like merged with specifically for education, and I would look at doing that, or look at like, you know, mentioning that in your application for YC. I would just say like fuck investors. Honestly, at the end of the day, like they are just trying to make money, obviously, because they're fucking investors, and like they don't care about your business. They don't care about the long term effects of it. They just want to make money, and like they will end up ruining your business if you like keep them long enough and you let them have large enough of a stake. They will find a way to ruin your business and make you not have fun while you're working. So I would see if there's a way you can do self funded. If you really believe in it and you've got some traction, you could even ask like friends and family to put in some money so that you can just like work and, you know, eat ramen and like work for as cheaply as possible, live in the cheapest place you can, and just, you know, code and do that kind of stuff. I would recommend that a way of starting a company much over than like, you know, raising money, because you don't need to raise money to start a company. No problem.
Makes sense. That's pretty valuable advice. Any more questions for Joe before he hops off?
Yeah, any more questions for me before I hop off? Anybody? There's a decent number of people here.
Joe, I just actually wanted to take this opportunity to say hi. It's so good to actually hear your voice, man.
It's good to hear yours. Thank you for Mason. You're the one setting up we're gonna do like a Zoom call, right, or something.
Yeah, definitely. We'll look into it, see what we can get to have the most people possible in there. I'll get you some information as far as what we're gonna be doing for that for Thursday at 10:30.
Awesome. That sounds perfect. Yeah, 10:30. I'm so glad it was PM. I was afraid that it was AM, and I was like, dude, no one's gonna join at 10:30 AM.
No.
That's great. Okay. Any other? I'll take one more question and then I'll hop off, or I can just hop off now.
Joe, I have a question.
Yeah. What's up, Gabe?
Are you hiring social media people?
Honestly, the social media strategy for us has changed so rapidly that like I don't even know like what we would hire somebody for. I am the social media person. Yeah, it's Annabelle. You can hear her in the background. I have no idea what we're hiring for at this point. What we need right now, I would say, developers. We need software developers because like I need Coursicle Chat to get finished, and I'm so tired of coding at this point. Like I've done coding. I did coding for like the first like 8 years of Coursicle, and now I'm ready to just manage people. And like I'm obviously still technical, and I'm able to like get in on technical things and help people make technical decisions. But I just am tired of coding, and we need bodies at this point to will help us with software development. So that's the two. We'll hire probably 2 interns over the summer, maybe 3, who are all software developers. But it's a good question. Okay, I'm gonna hop off. Thank you so much, and definitely get this recording set up, and let's get more people into the Discord because this is so much better than GroupMe.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Thanks so much, Joe. Have a good one.
Thanks. You too, guys. Bye.
Bye.